Let's talk to our most entertaining former Conservative MP, as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Michael Fabricant. Good evening to you, sir.
And his constituency, as far as they're concerned.
Yeah.
Thank you very much there, James.
How are you?
I'm very well. I'm in Lichfield at the moment. We've had slight technical problems, so I'm looking bright pink at the moment, but that's because of using a different camera from the one I was planning to use. But
you look
hey,
good.
That's all boring.
No, you look better than we do. We look very pale. So, yeah, no, I think you look good. Listen, first of all, we can't be too nice about the former government because, let's face it, the country's in a complete hole.
Well, they permanently have damaged it, haven't they, the last government?
I don't think so. I think that's a little unfair.
What, with 1 million just every year for the last...
We were the fastest growing economy in the G7 when Labour took over, and they've gone and trashed it in about 5 short months.
But you let 1 million people in 1 year.
The whole point of this, and the big thing, and everybody's, well, you can't go back to that. I thought Kelly Badenots was very, very poor in PMQs this week. I mean, talk about being wet and not really talking.
We were all expecting a lot from her, and we've hardly heard anything.
So she
I haven't actually watched PMQs this week. It's not something that excites me a great deal, and apparently it didn't excite you either.
No, it didn't excite anybody that I've met. But the fact is, yesterday or day before yesterday, we had 609 criminals break into this country, OK? They came here illegally from a country that was quite safe. They came here and they're criminals. They're not migrants, they're frigging criminals. And we're doing nothing about it except putting them in a 4-star hotel, giving them free travel, making sure nobody's nasty to them and calling people like me racist. So I'm getting fairly fed up with this now, and it has to stop. Supposing Russia did decide, and I will get to the question in a minute, Michael, sorry, I'm just very angry today. If Russia decided to go forward in any big way, we could be in trouble. And they wouldn't even have to leave their territory to send bombs over here. And our stupid governments are cutting down the spend on military. They should be quadrupling it right at this time. Otherwise, we're going to have a third world war if we're not very lucky. Hopefully, Trump will calm all the situations down. But the way some of our journalists are talking about Trump, the little lefty so-and-sos who've got nothing going for them at all, I'm not sure. If I was Trump, I'd say leave them to it if they're going to be that rude about me. Why can't we just put the Navy in the Channel? You are not coming in here illegally. I'm very sorry if you drown, very sorry if it's dangerous, but we have to defend our borders. And if we don't defend it, if these people were armed with guns, we'd be doing it tomorrow.
James.
Over to you.
That is what I call a diatribe, James.
Sorry,
I can see you're enjoying yourself there. Well, look, a couple of things actually you said, which are very interesting, as you always are. First of all, it's interesting particularly that NATO are now thinking of saying below the 2% minimum pay being done on spent on defence, that in fact it should be in the order of 3%.
Yeah.
And Keir Starmer is saying, oh, that's far too much for us to spend, although Poland and Finland are spending a hell of a lot more than that. So that's number one. But number two, you're dead right. I mean, we've got to have a deterrent against Russia. Now, I don't think Russia's capable of doing a great deal at the moment, to be honest with you. They've been pushed out of Syria very, very quickly, not by anybody in particular, other than the fact they didn't want to get involved in a scrap. And it's quite clear that they're not doing as well as they would have liked in Ukraine. So I don't think they're quite so foolish as to think they could be a match for NATO. But look, we mustn't take anything for granted. And we should be spending 3%, maybe 4% on defence. But you also made the point in your
diatribe.
There was loads of points in there,
I wasn't going to be so rude. About why doesn't the Royal Navy send people back into France? And there is a real practical reason for that. The reason why the Royal Marines use rubber boats is that they're very hard to detect when there's any sort of swell, and very, very difficult to detect on radar, let alone people actually seeing them. The problem with these migrant boats is that they are overfilled. They're very low in the water, so they're even more difficult to detect. But there's a real problem in that the Royal Navy say they're so unstable. And the boat you see there, that looks fairly... I'm looking at I know you're on radio mainly, but on the video, you've got a picture of migrants on a boat, and it's actually not that full. It's normally fuller than that, although there are people in the water. But the point is that the Royal Navy say they can't push these boats. They're so unstable, they'd capsize, and they don't want to end up...
Pick them up and drop them back, and that would end it like they've done in Belgium. We got rid of it in Belgium, and there's drones now. We don't need radar. There's AI drones that could see everything coming across the channel.
The English Channel's quite big, and these rubber boats are quite small. Yes, you detect a few of them, but you wouldn't detect all of them by any means. I mean, that's what
I think
Royal
you could
Navy
actually, you know what I mean? Like they do, like Iron Dome. Iron Dome, you can detect everything.
Hang on, you guys. If the will was there, and we are equally on TV as we are on radio...
We can stop missiles flying in the sky, so we can stop a boat on a river.
Calm down, right? Yeah. The fact is, when they come here, we put them up in a 4-star hotel. We give them a credit card.
It's ridiculous.
We might as well...
Absolutely ridiculous.
There was one near you in Telford, wasn't there? A 15th century manor house.
And it's not actually Telford's not that near Lichfield, but anyway, I know what you mean.
I was going the wrong way.
I agree with your sentiment.
Thanks,
but the point is as well that, you know, we should be using things like the that boat. We had a hulk, didn't we, on the south coast somewhere. And it was decided that although it was made originally for people working in the oil industry, it's not good enough for migrant work, for illegal immigrants, rather. And this is the craziness of it all.